Let us simplify everyday chaos by meditating like a Jedi. This evening's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found on Reddit. Have you found that meditation has improved your timing in life? Have any of you found that meditation has improved your good timing with things in life, such as meeting people, making money, avoiding bad things, etc.? Why, yes. Yes, it has. Let us explore this through broad brushstrokes. Now, the fancy word for this is serendipity, or going with the flow. And it is inversely proportional to our controlling tendencies. Allow me to elaborate. When reading the 81 poems of Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching, a pattern emerges. There is the Yang pattern of being rigid, fearful, suspicious, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. And then there is its polar opposite, the Yin pattern of being flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. Did you know that this relates directly to neuroscience? Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but alas, not in the fun, tingly way. Which would explain why 90% of books and 90% of teachers confuse or equate concentration with mindfulness. That is horribly inaccurate. For mindfulness and meditation, using completely different part of the brain than active concentration or active analysis, which rely upon such structures as the medial prefrontal cortex or the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, which are great for doing math, but are terrible for wrangling our limbic system. And when we abuse our poor prefrontal cortex, using it for that which it has not evolved to do, according to fMRI studies, functional magnetic resonance imaging studies, our good old amygdala lights up. Our amygdala, which functions as the seat of both our aggression and our anxiety. This is going to make us cranky. This is going to feed our controlling tendencies and drag us kicking and screaming as far away from serendipity as you can get. But there's some good news. There are structures in our central nervous system which have evolved specifically to nurture serendipity. Let us begin with our inhalation. Did you know that every time we inhale, we are wired to access our sympathetic nervous system? Yeah. See, this bad boy is ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. Spinal cord's kind of like a tadpole, isn't it? Anyway, I'm sorry, our central nervous system is kind of like a tadpole. Anywho, the central third of the spinal cord is home of our sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to support perception, to help us perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. You see, we are wired to notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We are also wired to notice emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. That sounds like it could get overwhelming, doesn't it? Well, evolution's got your back, because every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired to access our parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This bad boy is evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Now, if we want to be all fancy pants about it, every time we inhale, we are wired to perceive, to practice the perception that is also known as mindfulness, the seventh fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. And every time we exhale, we are wired to access the release of meditation, which is the eighth fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Doing so causes this hunk of meat to light up, metaphorically speaking. This hunk of meat that kind of looks like a catcher's mitt, this hunk of meat that is known as the anterior cingulate gyrus, that functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy and compassion and love. This is why the highest Dzogchen Lamas of Tibet have insisted, or I should say the greatest Dzogchen Lamas of Tibet have insisted, that the highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived. So check this out. When our choices and our utterances and our deeds flow with the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, then our life could become as blissful as the real or imagined paradise of a Buddha. But this is a subtle process. If you are as frightened or controlling as Daffy Duck in a Bugs Bunny cartoon, it ain't gonna work out. But if you're laid back and loosey-goosey, more like Bugs Bunny, you'll be surprised how well the subtle tumblers seem to fall into place. I do look forward to practicing with you, together as a team, after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of Hinduism and Taoism and Buddhism's meditation, so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. I think it could be great fun if together as a team we played with the latest iteration of love and the 3 marks of reality. So, let me see here. Quick like a bunny, I'm going to go to 37. Control G, 37. That's probably going to confuse the display. I'll do my best to remedy that momentarily. Let's hit cut. Let's go back to home. Let's hit paste. So now I get to align the display by tapping the button 9. Let us bring the circumstantial into the path of love and the 3 marks of existence. Let us begin with dukkha. Please chant with me. Each of us has experienced the stress of not getting our circumstantial needs met when we want for as long as we want, if at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all these words and squish them down into just 6 syllables, which we're now going to divide between our inhalation and our exhalation. Let us recite these silently, mentally, and passively. What I think could be great fun is if we did this for 4 rounds, assuming that a round is simply 1 inhalation followed by 1 exhalation. I like to use Bengali crease counting. During the inhalation, I like to advance the tip of the left thumb, that it might come to rest upon one of the sets of creases or even the tip of the finger in question. And so let's begin with our left little finger together. And remember, this question is rhetorical. And we're using the word lots as a monosyllabic synonym for circumstance. I think the homeless know what it's like to live in stressful circumstances. I think the folks enduring genocide in Jordan and the Congo and Gaza could also tell us a thing or two about stressful circumstances. Together. Since we are not alone in our frustrations, we could also long that other circumstantial needs also be met. So 1 moment, I want to check something. So we're using the word boon here as a monosyllabic synonym of good fortune. Now, it's not our job to actively visualize or actively believe or emote. All we're doing is silently, mentally, and passively reciting these words in harmony with our breathing to strengthen the neural pathways responsible for love. That's it. That's it. So let us count the next 4 rounds upon our left ring finger. Please chant with me. Observing the coming and going of circumstantial phenomena, help us to see that ever-changing one and all there is nothing permanent to grasp. So we play with another rhetorical question. How could Lot always change? There is nothing supernatural here. We see change all the time. We see change in the seasons, in their coming and going of the seasons, and the waxing and the waning of the moon, and the rising and the setting of the sun, and the swelling and the sinking of our chest. Together, let us count an additional 4 rounds upon the creases and tip of our left middle finger. Please chant with me. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever circumstantial phenomena we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel less like our identity and as if it was simply not us. So, this is a rhetorical question. We do not try to actively compose a metaphysical treatise. This was always only supposed to be a rhetorical question. Allow me to play with this for you. As we relax into our exhalation, that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel less solid, less tangible, less permanent, less identifying. During the next let us count the next 4 rounds upon our left index finger. Having played with 1 wishing love and 3 rhetorical questions, we've given our brain quite the workout, or at least we've given our subconscious the workout. And now we can rest our brain by bringing whatever we spontaneously notice into the path of awareness and release. And we're going to do that using the method described during class. As we inhale, we're going to ask our Urkel-like brain to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, thus increasing its cooperation with our sympathetic nervous system, allowing us to practice the perception that is mindfulness. During our exhalation, we're going to ask the same supercomputer between our ears to silently and mentally recite the 1-syllable verb ease, thus increasing the cooperation between our brain proper and our parasympathetic nervous system, increasing our release, that is meditation. Going to do a quick edit. Hopefully it won't be too long. Let's see here. Oh, yes. But first, together as a team, let us meditate as transformative. The display is going to go nuts while I do the edit. That's just the way it works. Thank you for your patience. Let us bring the physical into the path of love and the three marks of existence. Beginning with dukkha. Please chant with me. Each of us has experienced the stress of not getting our physical needs met when we want for as long as we want, if at all. So let's take all these words and squish them down to just 6 syllables, which we can divide between our inhalation and our exhalation. Please remember this question is rhetorical. So those of us struggling with various forms of cancer, heart disease, could speak in length about physical stress. Please chant with me. We now turn our attention to Metta. Since we are not alone in our frustrations, we could also long that others' physical needs also be met. We've evolved to recognize the trappings of health as beautiful. This does not make us superficial. We want to be beautiful. We want to be with those who are beautiful because our survival depended upon health. And let's face it, in days of yore, fMRIs were tough to come by. Or I should say MRIs. Anyway, let's continue. Let's turn our attention now to Anika. Feeling the coming and going of physical phenomena. Help us to feel that ever-changing one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. It has been said that every 7 years, every living cell in our body is replaced at least once. We now turn our attention to anatta, together. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever physical phenomena we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel less like our identity, as if it simply was not us. So, in relationship to the previous one, there is a philosophical thought experiment known as the ship of Theseus. So Theseus owned a ship, and at the end of each journey, after he was flush with cash, he would replace something. Maybe the sails on one journey, maybe the brass fittings on another journey, maybe the ropes on one journey, maybe the pieces of the skeleton or of the ship on one journey, maybe the hull on another journey, maybe the deck on another journey, maybe the masts on another journey. And after a while, you have to wonder, is this the same ship that Theseus had all so many journeys ago? Or is the only thing that remains is the name of the owner attached to the object? As we relax into our exhalation, the body that we noticed during the previous inhalation could feel less defining, less imprisoning, less permanent. I'm going to tell you something really, really sad. That if you are young, if you are in your 20s, you look fabulous. But if you're fortunate enough to live 10 more years, 20 more years, 30 more years, 50 more years, you will begin to conclude that time is the fire in which we burn. Having played with these philosophical exercises, let us You know what? There's been a boo-boo here. There we go. Let us bring whatever we spontaneously notice into the path of awareness and release. Let us bring the interpersonal into the path of love and the three marks of existence, beginning with the first mark of existence, dukkha. Please chant with me. One moment. Each of us has experienced the stress of not getting our interpersonal needs met. How we want when we want for as long as we want, if at all. So what we're going to do is use the word feels as a monosyllabic synonym for our experience of the interpersonal. And we're going to take all these words and squish them down into just 6 syllables that we're going to divide between our inhalation and our exhalation. So now we turn our attention to metta, or love. Since we are not alone in our frustrations, we could also long that others' interpersonal needs also be met, for that is what we are wired to do. There's nothing greatly heroic about simply acquiescing to our genetic birthright. We turn our attention now to Anika impermanence and chant. Observing the coming and going of interpersonal phenomena. Help us to see ever-changing one and all. There is nothing permanent to grasp. We turn our attention to anatta. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever interpersonal phenomena we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel less like our identity, as if it simply was not us. Please remember, these are rhetorical questions. It's not our job to answer them, but to simply recite them silently, mentally, passively, in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation. Let us bring whatever we spontaneously notice into the path of awareness and release. We come to the final quarter of this evening's practice, where we bring the mental into the path of love and the three marks of existence. Let us return to dukkha as silently as we together rechant. One moment. Okay, here we go. Each of us has experienced the stress of not getting all mental needs met. How we want when we want for as long as we want, if at all. So we play with the first rhetorical question: how could mind feel stressful? We're going to make this plural. In Asia, some conical towers are said to represent enlightened mind. The Buddha never really taught that, but it's a cultural affectation which can be quite beautiful at times. We turn our attention now to metta as we chant. Since we are not alone in our frustrations, we could also long that others' mental needs also be met. So we wish that all beings everywhere experience joyful wisdom. This is more than just fun. The fourth enlightenment factor is joy. So we want to find ways of practicing that are not only sustainable, but pleasurable. That's right. The path to enlightenment is only successful when it is somewhat hedonistic. Of course, I can't say the word hedonism without hearing 1970s porn music in my head. Bow, chicka, bow, bow. Let us turn our attention now to Anika. Observing the coming and growing of a mental phenomena, help us to see ever-changing one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Our perceptions, emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings are all terribly malleable. Let us turn our attention now to Anatta as we chant. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever mental phenomena we notice during our previous inhalation could feel less like our identity, as if it simply was not us. This is our last session this evening of bringing whatever we spontaneously notice into the path of awareness and release, whether that which we notice is external or internal, physical or mental, pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. In our compassion, may we long to free all beings from the toxic tyranny of ever. Hating, craving, and clinging, metaphorically known as our three mental poisons. In all pragmatism, may all liberation of all others be fueled by all reliance on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students, described by the metaphor of the three wish-fulfilling jewels. One moment, if you please. May we feel through the three jewels. May we feel through the three jewels. May we feel through the three jewels. Let's see. Well, it just dawned on me that that's a little too wide. So, Oh, here's what I could do. This, I can hit the wrap text function and put it behind the text thusly. That'll work better. Okay. So, having sat for the better part of 75 minutes, you might find it refreshing to join me for a couple of rounds of 12-phase sun salutation that I like to call Buddha Namaskar, because I'm kind of funny that way. Oh boy. If you are unfamiliar with 12-phase sun salutation, there are many fine instructional videos to be found on YouTube. Let us seal our practice by percussively chanting loving wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. May all minds yet impermanent be as enlightened as a Buddha's mind. May all relationships resounding yet impermanent be as loving as a Buddha's speech. May all bodies sensual yet impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Deva's form. May all circumstances appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Devi's land. May every meditation teacher truly understand the Buddha's teachings and practice master as well as teach them generously, lovingly, and wisely in the manner of centered spontaneity. May all meditation teachers spontaneously receive generous patrons, enthusiastic students, as well as devoted apprentices. And may many Dharma centers likewise be successfully planted, nurtured, and supported. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.